All right, hello and welcome to Today's. All right, so for today's video, it's going to be more of a listenable video. If you want to tab out, or if you want to put your phone in your pocket and put some earbuds in and do some stuff around the house, feel free. I am going to throw some pictures up, but it's not going to be anything that you actually need to see. So with all that good shit being said, I guess let's start the video. So my problem with the MBT is that it doesn't have very good side and roof armor in relative terms, as far as you can take an RPG and stick it on a drone and pop a tank's turret off because it has an inch and a half of turret roof armor. So I think shit like that needs to change. Side armor is, good enough depending on like what it's getting hit by, but we've seen, plenty of Lancets also take it out. It feels like everything has a damn heat round on it, whether it's a Bradley tank that has a tow missile or a guy with a javelin or an IED that you can plant on the side of the road and explode later. So there's, just so many ways to kill a tank unless it has some sort of ERA armor or composite armor to neutralize the heat round. And one of the main problems is it'd be like really nice if we could put a fuck ton of ERA around the tank and put composite armor around the tank, but I don't think that people over in the logistics area of the army would really appreciate overweighting the fucking tank that much. So then the question then becomes, how do we get the tank's weight down while maintaining good armor? And I think unfortunately one of the things that they're going to have to get rid of is the gun.
While editing this video, I realized I made a major mistake. I didn't mean to say that tanks will be getting rid of their guns. What I meant to say is tanks will be getting rid of their bigger caliber guns and swapping them for smaller caliber guns like 75 millimeter, 90 millimeter, and like 105 millimeter, and that we should probably go away from 120 and higher. The reason is when you have a bigger caliber gun, you have, larger rounds, and those rounds take up more space, and that's more space that you have to armor inside the tank. And if you can shrink the turret of the tank, then you can save a lot more on weight by not having to armor the area that you would have had to. So I think tanks will be just fine if they have smaller caliber guns, because really all you see them shooting at is infantry and trucks or like light armored vehicles like BMPs, stuff like that. There's really not too many tank-on-tank engagements.
Now, a lot of countries want to go up in caliber. You see like the new German Panther. It's at 130 millimeters, and the Russians were talking about putting a 152 millimeter cannon, I think, on the T-14 Armata. And even though that fell through, the desire to do that is still there. In fact, there's been, I think, a couple M1 Abrams prototypes that have had 140 millimeter cannons. So again, the desire is there, but I don't see it as feasible. And I really don't see it as necessary, because when you think about it, tanks don't really fight other tanks. In World War II, I believe that only 3% of all engagements were with other tanks. And you see it a lot in the Ukraine war too. Like, how many times have you seen tanks fighting other tanks? Like, yes, the footage is out there, but then think about how many times you've seen a tank get hit by a drone, or, a guy pops around a bush with an RPG and, shoots a tank in the side. And it's like, it's great and all to have really good front armor. And it was good in the Cold War where you were expected to, move forward, take a village, and, the enemy would be waiting for you head on, usually. I apologize, I completely lost my train of thought. But I was thinking that, for the Cold War, tanks were expected to engage other tanks from the front, and they couldn't overweight the tank as well. Like, you really see it with the Russian tanks. Like, they put all their armor in the front and like none of it on the side, as far as like they have really thin side armor. But that's all right if you plan to go, dig in and go hold down and take up a defensive position, or if you're going forward and the enemy's position already and you expect to be, shot from the front, then I guess, yeah, that makes sense to have all your armor in the front. But again, like I said, if you have a little quadcopter with an RPG and you can fly it around to the back and hit it, then it basically becomes worthless to have all that armor in the front. And I think that's why we've seen the prevalence of coke cages and even stuff like the coke sheds, where the entire tank is put in like a hanger like set of armor, and driven into battle like that, where it can only shoot out from the front. And this is proven effective because heat rounds lose all their energy if you can detonate them further out, and by the time it hits the actual armor of the tank, it's lost a lot of its punch. So while I haven't personally sketched out the blueprints for the next MBT, I think some of the things we could see from it is going to be a smaller gun, lighter on the front armor, but more armor all around, and trying to keep the weight under 60 tons. We are seeing the current version of the Abrams hit 63 tons, and I don't know what the Leopard 2 A7 is off the top of my head, but I'm sure it's pretty heavy as well. So I think because of like logistics and stuff like that, it's going to have to be under 60 tons. It's going to have good armor, enough to stop RPGs and stuff like that. And I could definitely be wrong about all of this and then just look like a jackass in 5 years. But I think we're already starting to see what I'm saying as far as you put a turtle cage on a T-72, and yes, it can only fire a few degrees to the right and to the left, but you get all that extra protection and you don't die to a silly little kamikaze drone that blows your turret off because you had 2 inches of armor protecting your ammo rack. So, all right, so that's been the video. Thank you guys for watching.